So my previous video got cut off. So alleles are different gene forms like purple or white flower or tall or short plant. Okay? The dominant allele will affect the observed trait. So this allele is observed. So in this case, it will be tall height. The recessive allele does not affect the trait. It is not observed. So in this case, it would be short height. Mendel concluded that the allele for tall plants is dominant to the allele for short plants. So for the rule of dominance, how do we illustrate these? Okay, so you use the same letter for different alleles of the same gene. So that means you would use capital T for the tall allele and lowercase t for short, not T for tall and S for short. And uppercase is always used for dominant alleles and lowercase for recessive. And dominant is always written first. So if you want to do accurate Punnett squares, these are some rules you have to follow. So tall plant, true breeding tall plant will be capital T, capital T. Short plant will be lowercase t, lowercase t. And then we'll talk about why all these tall plants are capital T, lowercase t. So then let's also talk about the words phenotype and genotype. Physical appearance and behavior is phenotype. And I tell my students the way to remember that is PH for phenotype and PH for physical. Allele combination, or the genes, is genotype. It almost has the word gene in it. That's a way you can remember. And a thing to note is genotype cannot always be known by its phenotype. For example, a tall plant can be capital T, or capital T, lowercase t. So we can't tell which one it is unless we trace back to the parental genotypes. And then there are the words homozygous and heterozygous. So homozygous would be if two alleles are the same. Either they're both capital or both lowercase. So homo means same. Hetero means different. So heterozygous is if two alleles are different. So the only heterozygous option will be capital T, lowercase t. Original parents, true breeding, are known as the P1 generation, so they're parental. The offspring is the F1 generation, the filial, for Latin for son. And if you cross two of these, this would be F2. Genes are located on chromosomes, each code for one protein, which is one trait. And they exist in alternative forms called alleles. There is a tall allele of the pea plant height gene and a short allele of the pea plant height gene. And once again, an organism's two alleles are located on different copies of a chromosome, one inherited from the female parent and one from the male parent. So these would be homologous chromosomes, one from the male parent, one from the female parent. The gene, height gene, would be on the same location, but the allele will not necessarily be the same. For example, you could get the allele for tall height from one parent and short height from another parent. Both of these could be tall, both of these could be short, but it's not guaranteed. So the location of the gene is at the same spot for homologous chromosomes, but the alleles could be different. And then we have Mendel's law of segregation. The two alleles for each trait separate during the formation of sex cells or gametes, so that each gamete carries only one allele for each character. Okay? This happens when the gametes, the egg cells or sperm cells, are made, like you learned in meiosis. And this picture shows you allele assortment during meiosis. Note the letters that show you the combination of alleles you can get. And then there's more information about the law of segregation. You could get either allele from either parent. There are 4 possible combinations since you have 2 choices from each parent. If dad is capital T, lowercase t, and mom is capital T, lowercase t, then these are all the combinations you could get. And there's a way to figure out and predict what combinations parents may pass on to offspring through Punnett squares. So a Punnett square is a diagram that shows all the possible outcomes of a genetic cross. Okay? So we start with the parental alleles. A heterozygous tall parent will be capital T, lowercase t. How do we know? We need the capital T because tall is dominant, and it is heterozygous, meaning they both can't be capital. And then we have both parents as the same. So how do we fill in the middle? Well, you bring down this T and you bring down this T. In another video, I will do practice problems. Here, you bring this T here, this T down here. The capitals always written first. Bring this down, bring this over, bring this down, bring this over. This was both lowercase t's. Let's talk about probability. So Punnett squares show probability. Probability is the likelihood that a particular event will occur. So what is the probability of getting a round offspring? Well, round is dominant, so you got 3 out of 4 that will be round, and only 1 out of 4 will be wrinkled. Punnett squares give probability. Each offspring is determined randomly, but you don't always get the exact ratio results shown in the square. The results predicted are more likely when there's a large number of offspring. And there you have it. That was the overview and intro to genetics. And my other videos will show you practice problems on different inheritance patterns. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more biology videos.